Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. Happy 2026. Can you believe it? Everyone always says that. Can you believe it? Can you believe it's the new year? Can you believe how old I am? Well, yeah, the alternative is you're dead. So enjoy it. Be happy to be here. Be excited to be here. Pretend you're going to be someone different this year. That never. We're doing it as a country. Pretend we didn't last long on our resolutions to not invade other countries. We've gone into Venezuela. We're going to talk about that. ICE has gone into Minneapolis investigating some Somali fraud. We're going to talk about that. We're going to cover a lot of strange things that have been happening online. But first, I want to cover this. Is it New Year, New You? Is it actually? Or are you just pretending to be a gym goer and getting in the way of people who are going to be about that life in August? Be honest with yourselves. It's a real question. Are you just pretending to be someone? Are you really going to write that book this year? Now, I know it sounds like I'm being negative. I'm actually not. I'm asking you a real question. When you make your resolutions, you need to say, hey, I'm going to stick to them. Maybe that's what the U.S. is doing. Maybe we were like, you know what? If we are going to go into other countries for oil, our goal this year is honesty. That's what Trump's doing. He's posting things. He's saying, we got a bunch of oil. Shout out to us for getting oil. Now, some people are saying that's actually not even as big of the reason he went in as trying to counter China and Russia and all this. But we're going to do a whole Venezuela thing. But honesty is a reasonable resolution to have. Now, I talk about this every year. I have a lot of friends doing dry January. Dry January. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. Have a mocktail on the fucking house. I'm happy for you. As someone with a January birthday, you're spitting in my face. You are spitting in my face. All year, we're expected to show up to your birthdays and eat cake, regardless of our diet and exercise plans. Come January, you want to show up and have a Perrier in my fucking face? Leave the bar. Leave the bar. I think the turn of the new year is a beautiful time to renew. I'm not cynical like other people. I'm not like, oh, it's just another day. It's not a new day. It's a new year. This is how we've chosen to pass time. It's because of the sun. If you're Asian, it's because of the moon. Pick your celestial body. It's an important time to check in with yourself, to look at how far you've come, to look at where you want to go. All of these are beautiful things. But be honest with yourself. Are your new resolutions are you actually going to be sober forever, or do you just want to make incremental change and move the right direction? Are you actually going to become a gym person, or are you going to show up January 8th at 5:10 p.m. and gum up the traffic at the squat rack when you know you're not about that juicy dumper life? Ask yourself these questions. If you're willing to turn over a new leaf, if you're willing to be a completely new you, do that. But if you're not, stay out of the way. Develop a workout routine at home. I'm sick of pretending like everything is for everyone. It's not. It's just not. There are people in my profession doing stand-up comedy who should quit. I know it sounds like I'm being negative. I'm actually, this is usually a very positive show. I'm not being negative. I'm being real. I'm trying to tell you the truth right now. There is a new, beautiful life that exists for you this year. But the percentage difference is not as big as you think. If you haven't been reading books, you don't need to buy. You're not doing one a month. Make reasonable goal. Just try. I'm going to read generally. See where it takes you. Maybe you're not a reader. Maybe you will find out in your new year you are not supposed to be reading, you're supposed to be playing video games. Is that good for you? I don't think so. I think it's not. I think objectively it's not as good for you. However, you could become a video game savant, a video game genius. And then all of a sudden people will be paying millions of dollars to watch you game. 2026 is not the year to be someone you're not. It's the year to figure out who you are and be a little bit better at that. Assuming it's productive. Again, if you're like, I'm a serial killer, I would prefer you regress in how good you are at that. Although you would create good content for women to watch because they love murder docs. We've discussed all of it, but let's talk about Venezuela. And the Venezuela situation is a perfect thematic tie-in to this new concept of 2026. This is the year of honesty. This is the year of being you. And that's what we're doing. Now, I don't know if it's a good precedent to set that we can chopper in to a sovereign nation and kidnap the president on domestic drug charges as well as attempt to buy a machine gun or something. I think there's a lot of... I don't think anyone thinks this is... I don't think... I know people who are on drugs right now who don't think this is about drugs. Okay? And I commend them, and they're off that good Venezuelan. Nobody thinks this is about drugs. We know what it's about. It was about a few different things. It was about a little bit of a pissing contest. Look, Maduro, let's get this out of the way. Shitty guy. Not a great guy. He went and ate steak at Salt Bay's restaurant. Now, this is a crime for a lot of reasons. Number one, because people in his country were starving because he had a repressive regime. A lot of Venezuelans are very happy about this, and I think it's important to note this. While people on the left just want to say, Trump did this, Trump bad, you do have to take into account a lot of the Venezuelan experience, and a lot of Venezuelans are very happy, and we need to understand why that is, and part of it's because he ate at Salt Bay's restaurant. Again, when people were struggling, financially people couldn't get food in his own country. The economy's, turning to shit, and the man is spending tens, if not hundreds of thousands of, this is how expensive Salt Bay's restaurant. He is spending money at Salt Bay's restaurant, smoking cigars at Salt Bay's restaurant. As that Argentinian, is that what Salt Bay is? An Argentinian memed out twink, can I say that? And shout out to the twink community. One of the real crimes here is pretending that influencer meat is good meat. Get the fuck out of here. Maduro, have some respect for steak. You're a large man. You look like you know how to take down a steer. What's with the sweet shit? Eat at a real restaurant. This is not the main crime. He was a bad guy. And his regime did not do wonders for the country of Venezuela. I think objectively, you can look at the country of Venezuela and say, boy, this is a place that has natural resources. Oil, as we mentioned. It's got natural resources. It's got some hot chicks, I think. I kind of know like what the general population in Latin America looks like whenever there's like a tweet. There's like one of those like horny tweets that just shows up and it's like, look at the babes of Latin America at the World Cup. And it's just a bunch of hot chicks in World Cup jerseys. And you're like, yeah, Venezuela looks nice. The fuck? So it has natural there's no reason that this place should be struggling, aside, of course, from mismanagement. Some people would say it is the mismanagement of a left-wing government that doesn't understand economic realities. I'm empathetic to that understanding. Other people would say it's because the United States does not allow any left-wing government to survive without cutting it off, sanctioning it into hell, causing basically an economic crisis that then causes that country to become further entrenched. And like a lot of large government features, you end up with an overreach of the government, surveillance state, mistreatment, no human rights abuses, all of these things. Guys, I'm not a Maduro fan. So Trump goes in there and he takes him out, and now what we have is his second in command, Delcy Rodriguez, and I believe that's how you pronounce it, and she is now in charge, and it's basically the same regime but minus Maduro. And there's a lot of different information going on out there. The New York Times was reporting that it was Maduro dancing that was the last straw for Trump. And Trump was like, well, fuck this shit. Other people saying Trump had done this entire buildup in the Caribbean and he can't leave without losing face while Maduro taunts him. He had no choice but to go in there and get his ass. And some people are saying this is a great thing. We have liberated Venezuela, and this is the second of Trump military moments where we go in, we do something, shock and awe, we get out, look at our military. Isn't our military the greatest? And we're not going to engage in nation building. Then you have Trump saying, actually, we are going to sit here and help make Venezuela great again. And then you have people in America saying, wait, hold the fuck on. Your entire purpose was to do America first and not fuck around in other countries and help rebuild our struggling domestic manufacturing sectors. And then you have people on the left that are like outside of Maduro's jail protesting Trump, being like free Maduro, like pro Maduro. And then Venezuelans are saying like, what the fuck is wrong with you? No, fuck this guy. This guy fucked up all our shit. This guy fucked up our family. You guys don't know shit about Venezuela. But then we're like, you don't know shit about America, because when we go into places, a lot of times we fuck shit up. Our military is really good at fucking shit up, but there's no like cohesive concept of what we're actually going to do and how we're actually going to build something up. And the strategic thinking of America has always been a mistake, because all we know how to do is fuck shit up militarily. We don't know how to build things in our own image, because we don't actually know a ton about what's going on down there, and we wouldn't know how to fix it. We don't know how to fix things in our own country. And then on top of all of that, and this is what's going on, everyone's a little freaked out right now. And it's reasonable, because guess what? It's a confusing situation. And what I think you should try to make sure you don't fall into the trap of is just thinking one thing bad, therefore other thing good. Trump bad, therefore Maduro good. Maduro bad, therefore U.S. intervention good. We kind of got to see what the plan is. And I think the root of my skepticism, based on following this administration as I have, is that they're not, leave aside the United States' long history of intervening in Latin America and other places and how that tends to go. But this administration in particular, I have my doubts about whether they have a genius plan to follow up this military invasion. But it's important to wait and see. And it's also important to recognize your own blind spots. Guys, it might shock you to know this, but I am not an expert in Venezuelan politics. Now, I have been paying attention via podcast while I fold my clothes this week. I have done that, and I've done it for you. But I can't pretend to know exactly how it's going to go, and I'm very wary of all the people who do that. But it's been very interesting. There's some interesting kind of side moments that I noticed here. Now, one thing I've noticed about Maduro is he is low-key dripped the fuck out. Now, we'll throw up a photo here. I mean, Maduro, he got taken. He looks like he's having a lot of fun. Can we just say this? He seems to be having some fun. He seems to be enjoying his trip abroad. Every photo, he's like, thumbs up. He walked in. He was like, good night. Happy New Year. How you say? He's got, now, again, bad guy and against how he's run the country, from what I've been told. He's got some riz. Okay, he has a little bit of riz. He's walking around. Every time the DEA is walking him to a new location, he's got a new fit, and they all fucking slap somehow. Let's throw up the first one. He was in the Nike Tech hoodie. This Nike sweatsuit already had lore in the American hood. And now everyone's like, he brought back the Tech sweatsuit. He looked good. Like, why did the photos go so hard? Like the crunched water bottle, he's got the thing over his eyes, and he's in the Tech hoodie, and he's like, "Suh," and he's like, "Ah," and he's kind of just throwing thumbs up. This is the most American thing I've ever seen. Here's another photo of him. They put him in a blue hoodie. He's got the slides on, he's going thumbs up. He's like, everyone's posing for photos. It's like, hey, it's the boy. It's the boy, and this guy's now wearing a hoodie that is being sold by Jocko Willink. Now, guys, you have to have been online long enough to know what a tremendously stupid and profound moment that we are in, where Jocko Willink, ex-U.S. soldier and then kind of podcaster who popped in the general mentality, inspirational Joe Rogan sphere, where it's like, yeah, I'm bald, yeah, I'm on HGH, but I'm also up at 3 a.m. lifting weights because you're a bitch. And he's famous for, he did this whole thing where it's like, oh, are you tired? Good. Oh, it's cold outside and you don't want to wake up. Good. Oh, you were born... and the whole thing is like kind of embrace your challenges. You were born with a micro penis. And every time you've hooked up with a girl, she says it's like licking her own clit. Good. So you got no arms and no legs. People in school used to throw you into the potato sack that people would do races in. And they'd throw you around in a rucksack and say, let's play Smear the Queer with the human torso. Good. And I recognize that game is outdated phrasing, but it's how we grew up. He's one of these guys. Now, but this is his hoodie. So someone in the DEA had a Jocko hoodie, Pete Origin and Jocko. I don't know. This was shared by Jocko and this dude, Pete Origin. Welcome to America. Unfortunately, our Patriot Blue RTX hoodie won't be shipping till spring, but they are available for pre-order. Jocko, the last freedom he will ever feel is at Origin USA, which is the hoodie brand. Thanks to the crew for supporting 100% American-made gear. I mean, this is where we're at in the world, where you have this huge geopolitical event. We don't know what the knock-on effects are going to be for life in Latin America, for life in Venezuela, for what the strategic, is this the type of thing that is going to encourage China to take Taiwan? Now, we can go into that conversation. Everyone knows what time it is. This didn't necessarily change how people are behaving. Russia already tried to take Ukraine. We don't have to get into it. The point is that it's important. And the point is that while it is important, it's also a moment for a podcaster to sell merch. And that's 2026, man. That's new year, new you. But be honest about who you are. All that's going to happen this year is we're going to push forward into a little bit more authenticity. Now, you're not going to like what you see out there. That's my prediction. I think 2026 is going to be a fun year for a lot of us. I have high hopes. I have personal aspirations and dreams. I think it's going to be a big time here at Joey Avery HQ and all things for the stand-up comedy and hopefully for the podcast. And we'll see, it'll be the year that the podcast takes off or it dies and turns into something else and all that. But geopolitically, I think you're going to see a lot of raw honesty. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's better to not pretend that we haven't always been playing this high stakes game of Risk. Maybe it's better to know who countries are, instead of pretending there's something that they're not. But I don't like how quickly things can escalate when we're playing in that world. But I do know that while all that is happening, we will be selling merch. And Maduro will be looking relatively dripped out. They've put him in a series of outfits, and he always looks good. And I think what's unfair about this, and this is just one of my, no one's perfect, right? And you have to recognize your advantages and disadvantages in life. You're seeing this right now. I think Maduro misrecognized. I think he thought he was a little more comfortable than he was. And you got to know what you're good at, what you're bad at. And what I've realized is that when you're tall, you can just look dripped out in extra shit. I don't have that same luxury. I got to work hard for these fits. I'm out here, manufacturing drip. I'm up in the clouds, okay? I'm rustling around trying to find the drip. I'm hustling for it. I'm working for the drip. It rains on Maduro. He's dripping because he's tall, because he has a stash, and because he has Riz. Now, I don't think he's a good guy. And I think that it's very likely a good thing that he is not currently running Venezuela. My concern is whether or not the people in charge of our operations know what they are doing and think what is about to happen next is good. There are some reports that, again, same regime is in place in Venezuela. There are reports that crackdowns have already begun, that the human rights situation is not getting any better, that they may be pretending to play ball with the U.S., but at the swearing-in ceremony of the new, whatever the fuck the name of it is, like I said, not an expert in it, she's out there, hugging the Chinese ambassador, hugging the Iranian ambassador, all these things that we're saying, no, we need to go in there and make them subservient to us. Now they've given us a lot of barrels of oil. But is this going to be what we wanted it to be, folks? I do not know. And you got to be wary of the people who are telling you that they do. Like I said, if you're standing outside of Maduro's jail protesting that he should be freed, you might want to consider entertaining the opinions of the average Venezuelan person before just reacting to Trump so much that you're supporting someone else. If you are so supportive of Trump that you just assume that the U.S. going in and fucking shit up is only going to work out to our benefit, then I would just note that when you look back through history, our initial military campaign is always very successful. George Bush, mission accomplished in Iraq. Is this Iraq? I don't think so. I certainly hope not, and it doesn't look like it. But we can always come in and fuck shit up. We have nice airplanes, and we're good at that. Are we good at the next part? Time will tell. Even Megyn Kelly, of all people, said she was watching Fox News and she was like, I just watched people nonstop cheerlead and parade around and just say what a great thing this was and say this is a green light, this is a win. And she said, I would caution against that because I worked at Fox News. I remember what that was like. I used to do that. It's time to be a yellow light. Let's see what happens. Now, one thing that was interesting, and news reports came out about this, is an account opened up on Polymarket, which is not where you get your third, fourth, and fifth wife to have sex with. No, it's actually a website where you can bet on political events. Apparently, I believe it's actually run by some people in the Trump family, have an ownership stake in it. Much like everything else, the corruption runs rampant through our entire system. We talk about it a lot on this show, but it's worth remembering and keeping in mind the blatant corruption that is at levels unseen at almost any other time in our nation's history. We've talked about it, and I'm just going to throw it out as a reminder. But someone popped on Polymarket there, and a newly registered Polymarket account spent $30K only one day before the U.S. captured Maduro. This trader has now won $400K 24 Hours later, War Insider or just luck? Yeah, I have a guess. Yeah, I have a guess. It is unprecedented to live in a space where you can bet on the events of the world. Just straight up gamble on them legally, open an account, play something. I mean, how could you not be insider? Now, I'm a guy who likes to wager on things. That's fun. I love the idea of being in a bar and being like, dude, I got money on us taking Maduro. I like that. I like the trivialization of potentially catastrophic global events while 5 to 6 beers deep at a local dive bar. That's fun. We engage in it for sport. It keeps a lot of us sane. But when you get to the point where you realize that the people making money off it are probably directly involved in it, you just go, yucky. Funny enough, another tweet, gamblers trying to collect their payout from Polymarket left baffled as they learned that the U.S. operation carried out in Venezuela does not meet Polymarket's definition of an invasion. Now, I don't know if that's relating to the last story or not, because it depends on what you bet on and how you define things, but there were a bunch of people freaking the fuck out because they lost, because they're like, this isn't, what do you mean this is, yeah, we invaded, what do you mean this isn't an invasion? And they were like, no, it was just a special forces moment or whatever the fuck, and people are really mad about it. And this is something that I identify with. This is something that I appreciate. While an entire event that is destabilizing a country is going on, you're arguing with your nameless, faceless, online, mega gambling corporate bookie about semantics over the word invasion. That's funny to me. Why is that funny to me? Well, I've done it myself, folks. I bet back in the day on a little something called the Super Bowl national anthem length. Okay, and I used to use an illegal service called Bovada. And I was mad at them. And as will happen with the Super Bowl, I was hammered. Call a spade right here. I was drunk during this time. I had had a lot of drinks, and they made me drunk. Sue me. It was the Super Bowl. That's what we do. So I bet on the anthem length, and I may have been working off some inside information. And by inside information, I mean a tweet that I saw that was like someone outside of the practice facility just heard it and timed it, and here's how long. Take the under. Insider trading, but at least it wasn't on Venezuela. So I placed that bet. Feeling pretty good about it. Now, mind you, at this time, what year is this? This is probably it's 2019. It appears from the timestamp on this email. I was not happy, and I wagered, probably $25 to $35. 50 would have been pretty rich for my blood on a bet like this. I bet this was like $20. And I submitted an online request, and I said, hi there. Start off nice. Hi there. There's an error with your system. It says I lost the over on the national anthem bet, which was 1:55, and the actual time was over 2 minutes. I timed it. I had multiple independent timers. It came in well over 2 minutes. Can you please correct this ASAP? Thanks. And they replied, Super Bowl Sunday, they're on top of this. Hello, we're sorry to hear of any confusion this may have caused, as the wager is based from the moment she sings the first word until she completes saying brave for the first time. We can assure you that the wager is correctly settled. Please note that book manager's decision is final. To review your bet history, just follow the steps below and all the steps. So what they're saying is, when she sang, she said, and the home of the brave, and she hit that second one, and they're saying it was after the brave, not the brave, because she hit it twice. Gotta love hitting it twice. I did not like that. I was displeased. At 11:15 p.m., now I'm drunk. And you can tell because I respond, period. New paragraph. Well, period. I watched the whole song and timed it. So you can definitely miss me with that bullshit. We counted. I was not alone. We counted how long she sang which, of course. Now, comma, which, comma, of course, comma. So you go, we counted how long she sang which, of course, is how long the song was. If you want to have weird, wonky technicalities, that's fine. But I will take the money I have in my account, parentheses, which is a lot, and take it elsewhere for, all caps, all of my future betting, because you can't be trusted, which is the most important thing in your business. If you understand when a win is a win, then I'll continue to wager thousands with you for years to come. Your call, bet's a bet. We both know what happened. Let me know where it goes from here. Cheers, J.A. That's powerful. I don't know if you guys felt that. That's powerful. Each one of those was a different paragraph. So your call, space, bet's a bet. So these things are, if you're reading this, your call, bet's a bet. We both, cheers, J.A. I don't use the initials like that. People who know me know, look, I don't be using the initials like that unless I'm really doing fucking business. I really don't be doing the initials like that unless I'm doing business. Cheers. Cheers. Woo! I dropped my entire corporate cock on that email. Hammered in the basement of my family home where we do Super Bowl parties every year. Big part of the Avery family. Sent from my iPhone. Just so they fucking knew. This ain't no Android shit. Now, the funny thing about this is they would have access to how much money is in my account. And they would know if it was a lot. And they would have known it was not a lot. I mean, $170 would be my guess max. Now, here's the deal and the thing that you guys need to understand about me and the way that I do business and the principles that I walk around this planet with, which I guess sometimes I look around and I find maybe what this show really is me looking around the world and reacting to a world that doesn't share the same principles as me. But I stick to my fucking guns. And I have never bet with Bovada ever again. Never. I have not wagered a cent with that raggedy-ass band of fuckwits. And I never will again. Of course. Unless they want to reach out to daddy and sweeten the motherfucking pot. If you want to come correct, right your wrongs, understand that she was singing for over 2 minutes. But I doubt that day will come. I doubt that day will come. And while it is funny to me that people on Polymarket are going through this same trauma, and yes, I consider it a trauma, what I went through and what they're going through. It's funny to me that they're losing because I want them to lose, because I think maybe the concept of gambling on every last aspect of our society might have external consequences that are non-ideal. That would be how I put it. That being said, I bet on football all the time, and I listen to gambling podcasts and all that. So you know what? Like, look, hey, nobody's perfect. I like having a little bit of fun. I like having a little bit of fun. And that's good. And you know what? You don't, I guess, get to have fun if you bet on the Venezuela invasion, unless, of course, you're that one insider who probably bet specifically on capture Maduro. And it's just a nice, brand new way in which we can have corruption in this country. Now, let's move on to our secondary story here, the B block, as we would say in the biz, the business of running a podcast out of your one-bedroom apartment. Now, this one is a story we were going to cover, and it has immediately gotten more serious. So, the ICE has been deployed to Minneapolis, and we were going to cover it in the context of a large amount of fraud that was occurring in Minneapolis, so much so that former vice presidential candidate Governor Tim Walz, dealing with so much fraud, he is not seeking re-election because of the massive scale of fraud that was going on in Minneapolis, a lot of which seems to have been concentrated in the Somali community. We're going to talk about some of that. Now, I don't know if this was pre-planned or if it followed on the story of the huge amount of fraud in that community. ICE deployed massive numbers to Minneapolis, and right before I pressed play on this, it appears that they have fatally shot a protester. It's a difficult sort of topic to cover on this show because this show, I'm wearing a bolo tie that is made of roller skates and a fur coat. The tone of this show is inherently ridiculous, even though we cover the stories of the day, because a little bit of ridiculous is nice. Now, when you have federal agents fatally shooting people in the streets of states who do not wish for their presence to be there, yeah, it takes a bit of a turn, and we're just going to have to wait for more information to come out on this. I hope, and I watched the video. I don't really want to show it. Not really the vibe of this. You can find it if you want to. She was in her car, and it looks like a situation where she was protesting. She was in her car and was driving away, and a cop, an ICE agent, perceived her car as she was trying to use it as a weapon and trying to ram, and that person shot her, and other witness accounts are saying she was trying to get out of there or turn around, or whatever the case is. It's a messy situation, and the reason the situation is so messy is kind of tragic and scary in terms of the direction that we're going. Because to me, when I looked at this should be a relatively obvious, like, open and shut case. We've created some extra social safety net systems in Minneapolis. I think they bumped up a little, and if I get some of this wrong, forgive me, but the gist of it is Minnesota is a big social safety net state, and some things were ramped up during COVID. And so there were all these government benefits that people could get. A percentage of people, and a lot of them disproportionately from the Somali immigrant community that lives in Minneapolis or Minnesota in large numbers. I get those two confused. They're so similar. We're executing fraud on this. Now, some of this was exposed by a YouTuber who, let's just say, didn't fully use sound journalism and uncovered some of it, which was true. And in other cases, maybe made some mistakes or didn't do it right because he's a YouTuber and he's obviously very biased. But the fraud and the Somali link was there, is proven, covered in the New York Times, covered everywhere. Early reports are suggesting that one of the reasons Tim Walz is resigning is because his administration didn't want to address some of the fraud because they thought it would demonize members of a certain community. And on the one hand, the first thing you think when you say that is like, hey, man, that's fucking stupid. We all as Americans can say, if you are committing fraud on the taxpayer, on the money that we pay, you can get fucked no matter who you are. In a normal and healthy functioning society, the governor of Minnesota would actually go to the federal government and say, hey, we have this issue, we are working on it, and we may need some ICE deportations of people who were here in this country, potentially illegally, and committing fraud. This should be non-controversial. We should be able to get on the same page about all of this relatively easily. Now, that gets harder in a situation where you have an entire administration that wants to take any example that they can and create a massive scapegoat and use it as an opportunity to bring jackbooted federal agents into the streets of local communities that don't want them there and round up all sorts of people, some of whom had nothing to do with it, and create all these sorts of altercations. Now, you add on to the fact that now that people are witnessing that, you're going to have more protesters of it because they think, hey, this is fucked up. And so now we have this huge boiling point where we all would agree that fraud is bad, but because there's so much mistrust of the other side and their motives, for good reason, a lot of the time, you have the situation where all sorts of people are at odds over something that we can all admit is bad, and now a woman is dead. Well, that feels shitty, doesn't it? It feels horrible. Like, it's just one of those things, and it's kind of similar to what we were talking about with the whole Venezuela thing, where some people are just going to cheer this, disregarding our entire history of mismanaging some of these foreign adventures because they're like, I trust the people in charge. And other people are just going to protest and say Maduro should be free just because we don't trust who's in charge. And it's hard for people to see the truth because there's so much mistrust of how the other side will use it if you give an inch. And a lot of that mistrust is warranted based on the way things have been going. Well, poo. I hope there's a way out of this because I mean it's one of those things where like it's like it almost seems like how could it get worse? It would almost have to get better until you realize in human history everything can get worse. It can always get worse, but it can always get better. So 2026, our resolution. How do we move that forward? And do we have people? I don't think Trump is capable of any sort of healing message, understanding, willingness to work with people on that. He has not demonstrated this, and the more people push against him, the more entrenched he gets, and here we are. It's going to take a transformational figure to try to figure this out, but I will tell you this, looking at the people on the left, the thing that's not going to work is excusing fraud, excusing illegality, being soft on things that immigrants do just because you're afraid it's going to get used, because that actually loses more people in the middle. And that statement right there, it will piss a lot of people off. I totally understand it. I just think that there's a lot of immigrants in this country that are being wrongfully villainized because people are putting too many people in the tent. And if people are here committing fraud and doing things like that and taking money from the taxpayers, then they got to go. But we'll see how it all shakes out. I'm just going to move on from that. It's kind of hard. I try to make these fun. But that story is just not so fun, nor is where I think all of it is going. But you never know. Transformational figure. Let's try to get something good in 2026. But first, some tour dates for you. Why don't you come on out and see me live? We got some new shows coming in 2026, and my website wants cookies from me. Should I just say no? January 22nd, Philadelphia. I'm coming through. By the way, Niners-Eagles this weekend. Fuck the Eagles. Fuck you. But 2 weeks from then. Love you, Philly. So come on out January 22nd. Huntsville, Alabama, Nashville, Tennessee, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Naples, Florida, Dania Beach, Dallas, Texas, Bernalillo, New Mexico. And we got a ton more coming. So joeyavery.com for tickets to that. Also put a link in here to the YouTube. Gonna start the comedy YouTube, that is. Going to start posting some more long-form stuff over there, so you're going to get some longer crowd work bits leading into compilations, we've been filming some kind of road shows where we can pull some crowd work moments and topical jokes and do some vlogging so you can kind of come on the road with me. These things are all coming down the pipe and then leading up to the special, so exciting stuff for you. Coming in the new year, links to the shows, links to the YouTube in the description. All right, folks, Bryan Johnson is a figure that we've discussed on here. Now, this is the kind of tech billionaire, rich gentleman who wants to live forever. We did the whole thing where we talked about him biohacking. We also noticed it's very odd that he and Liver King share the same name, two Bryan Johnsons. I don't know what's going on with Liver King. He's unwell. Not the point. Bryan Johnson wants to live forever. His son is his blood boy. He puts his son's blood into him. He measures his boners at night. He does all the things incumbent upon a person trying to live forever, which is be an absolute weirdo creep that people barely want around for 6 more years. And I know that's rude, but I'm just saying. Being weird. Now, he's tweeted one of the all-time... it's so long I'm not going to have time to read all of it, but this is how a biohacker tweets about his girl coming home soon. I don't know if she went on a business... She went to a yoga retreat. I don't know what she did. But here's what he said. Maybe I'll add some like low-key like romantic music or something. I don't know how to... I can't read all... It's too long, but I want you to get a sense of this. It's one of the craziest tweets of the year, and he got it in 2025. So think about that. It's been 19 days and 20 hours since I last felt Kate's warm embrace. She landed 47 minutes ago. The 24 hours of travel no doubt has her rushing to shower. She needs to cleanse herself of a dirtied world incompatible with her sensibilities. The wash doubles as a ritual, preparatory for entrance into the symbolic world we've constructed. I'm going to keep going here. This is honestly, this is like why people shouldn't engage in writing. Basically, what he's saying is like, my girl's going to want to shower when she gets home from the airport. That's so normal. So normal. But he's thinking about it too much. He's been reading Shakespeare. You can't like... This is where you almost get tripped up by consuming high works of art, is then you think you're part of that, and you're not. You live now. The time apart has been costly. My body's electrical signaling betrays the separation. Without her touch, my vagus nerves, 100,000 myelinated fibers, have dropped their high-frequency spectral power, squawking distress. An intelligent system broadcasting diminished waveforms hoping to be heard. There are other signals of distress. My white blood cells have shifted their gene expression, upregulating pro-inflammatory genes IL-6 and TNF-alpha and downregulating my antiviral genes. A pro-aging biochemical signature of a system suffering hardship. My environment is a pristine anti-aging laboratory. Air, water, food, and light are meticulously measured. Toxins are filtered. Purification systems run autonomously. Biomarkers tracked. Nutrition is calibrated. Yet outside my control is the affection of another. The 68 trillion cells that constitute Bryan Johnson run non-negotiable code. They demand tenderness, and not of a whimsical type, but deep, all-encompassing love that must be earned and carefully maintained. Otherwise, they protest in self-termination. She's now only 13 miles away, and I can viscerally feel her essence. The transmission pulses in high fidelity as if there were a fiber optic cable streaming our connection at light speed through the multiplexed cylinders of glass. time apart created latency, buffering the connection, depriving us of the luminescence and dimming into noise. In 15 minutes, you will be within... This is... Imagine her reading this in the Uber. She's in the Uber with just a general Pakistani man. I imagine it could be anyone. But she's just in the fucking Uber, you know, and just kind of just, you know, a little car sick because she's just on her phone. Everyone's on their phone in the back. If you're in the back of an Uber, you're on your phone. It's what you do. You get sick, you push through. It doesn't matter. You're going to be on your phone. You're in the back of an Uber. Unless you're listening to this podcast right now. You're looking out the window of an Uber. And you're kind of also on your phone because you're in the back and you're like, damn, that's right. I should have been listening to this podcast. And now I've given you like probably like a psychological break because you're like, holy shit, is he talking to me? And yeah, I am. Welcome to the 12th. She's in the back of an Uber and she reads that her dude just like, she's probably like was stoked to like have a little bit of time off from this guy who's measuring his fucking boners at night. And just talks like this, and it's just this weird fucking, like, she was probably pumped that she was, like, allowed to have a piece of bread during the, she left so she was allowed to have a piece of bread during 20 days. She wasn't eating, like, a genetically modified chicken. And then she reads this, and she's like, oh, Jesus Christ. She's like, I was just, you know, sometimes it takes you a second to, like, reintegrate with your partner, and she was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Can we just start with like a hug or like a hey or like maybe we have a glass of wine? No chance with this guy you're having a fucking glass of wine. This dude's going to be like sticking his nose in your mouth while he fucks. It's going to be insane. In 15 minutes, she will be within reach. I can visualize the whites of her eyes and smell her aroma. When she arrives, she will be shy. Whenever we are apart, she returns to zero. Her previous openness will be closed. Her emotional dynamic range will be held in reserve until she feels she is safe and can trust. I'll need to kindle her again. The rush of the courtship enthralls me. This is insane. The fact that he decided that. She's probably, like, she probably comes back and is like, oh, forgot that guy's a little bit weird, but he is nice, and it's a nice house, and I do like him, so I'm just gonna, like, ease back into this random world where we're living under fucking UV light like a goddamn gecko in a fucking cage, and he's like, did you reverse ionize the water or not? And he's like, no, I know what's going on. She doesn't trust again. She needs my courtship. Any guy who says she needs my courtship. I mean, could you be wearing a fedora any more than you are? She needs my courtship. The anticipation. This is not halfway done. I don't know how to. I can't stop, but I don't want to keep going. This is how she feels, I imagine. The anticipation drives a small cluster of my midbrain neurons to flood dopamine. Nerve fibers activate, lighting up my skin's receptors as it awaits for slow, caressing touch. My hypothalamus begins synthesizing oxytocin, preparing to dump it upon first eye contact to ensure the reestablishment of our pair bond. This biochemical orchestra fills me with delight and sensorial want. I mean, rub one out in the bathtub, Bryan. Just have a crank. Like, no one is supposed... Forgive me. Because I want this for you, and I do love love. But this is, I'm going to kill you love. This is like, if she leaves him, he's going to be wearing her skin love. Unfortunately, this doesn't feel, it's a little next level. The documentary would be awesome. I want to watch it. This is the reality show I would watch. It's just him like tweaking out, like ChatGPTing new science terms to describe the fact that he's bricked up and wants to smash, but he wants eye contact. Hey man, rub one out in the tub. Don't do that, obviously. There's better places to do it. It just sounds the way it rhymes. Kate's been mulling over what she'll wear for days. She's considered dozens of possibilities and modeled out my anticipated emotional state, the weather, and our planned activities. The colors will be representative of her psychological state and will be positioned to soothe mine. The texture, style, and hues will interplay with our biology. The deliberately chosen accessories will add flair, intrigue, and play. This is how she flirts, seduces, and bypasses my mind to speak directly to my physiology. She has other tricks, too. She's arrived. I must wait for her. Her timidness will want to determine the cadence. I hear the door crack open and her bag drop to the floor. She's nervous. I'm on the couch, neutral and open. What does that mean, Bryan? I'm on the... That's awesome. That's how I'm going to respond to if anyone asks me, hey, what time should we come over for the game? You can come whenever. I'm on the couch, neutral and open. I'm just on the couch, neutral and open. She rounds the corner and our eyes meet. The inhibitions wither as the magnetism draws us together. Soft hellos are whispered and our bodies interdigitate. What does interdigitate mean? Interdigitate meaning. Whatever happened to having a journal and not a Twitter? You know what? I'm going to be honest. I don't hate this as a journal entry. I'll read it once you're dead. If I read this when you're dead, I'm like, oh my God, it was so beautiful. If I read this while you're alive, I'm like, dude, I wish you were just like a normal, like, can't you just go to like Buffalo Wild Wings and like rip a Vicodin and pound 6 hazies and just bitch about your wife with the boy? Like, that's obviously unhealthy, and like we're turning a page and like we're becoming a more connected society, and we're like understanding each other more, and like we're understanding like truth in relationships, and like honestly maybe reevaluating our relationship with alcohol, and like maybe it's not as healthy and all that. And also, but at the same time, I'd rather you be doing that than writing this on the internet. I really would. I think this is a less healthy relationship than being like, God, she's being a bitch again. Again, not great. You know, work through it, be open, talk to each other. But I'd rather have that than this. I don't like this. I'm on this couch. I am not neutral and I'm closed. I am on this couch, biased and closed is what I am. I'm not feeling very neutral and open on this couch right now, Bryan. I'm not. Interdigitate. Interlock like the fingers of two clasped hands. I will take that with me. Interdigitate. Mingling the digits like of your finger. I will take that from you, Bryan. That's a good word. Dictionary word of the day. Interdigitate. I feel her fingertips on the back of my neck. So when did he write this? Because he's actually already past... She was 13 minutes away, but now they're together. This is very confusing. You need a montage or something. I feel her fingertips on the back of my neck. Goosebumps light up my body. Skin nerve cells fire signals directly to my brain, bypassing the analytical mind. The hypothalamus dumps the oxytocin, inhibiting fear and lowering cortisol. The body washes itself in this anti-inflammatory chain reaction. Our respiration and heartbeats are now synchronizing. The brain piles on with a release of endorphins to soothe the psychological pain of our separation. New powers are now in control. Let them run in glory. I press my cheek against it. If they don't fuck at the end of this, and if I don't get a new vocab word out of it, I'm going to be pissed, Bryan. Bryan, if you're writing a sex novel that's also based in your biohacking and end goal of selling supplements, you better tell me what it feels like when your dong breaches through the walls of Fort Knox. Better get there, Bry guy. I didn't read this. I only read half of this, and I just sprinted to my notes section and said, that's a Joey show topic. So we're all going to learn this at the same time. I press my cheek against hers. The skin on skin triggers a wave of desire. I brush her lips with mine, catalyzing a massive activation of neurons in her brain, overwhelming thought and forcing presence. She relents and wants to dance. She's home. I slip my hand under her shirt and brush the small of her back. Goosebumps spread like a wildfire across her body. Her hypothalamus stimulates He has children. He's writing this online. Can you imagine your father writing this on? Is this their mommy or is this a new chick? What's worse? Your dad writing this about your mom on Twitter or about his new chick? That's crazy. I mean, what is happening at the Christmas party? Who are we kidding? There is no Christmas party. He's sleeping upside down like a bat in a chamber. Spreads like a wildfire across. You might be done with this, but we're gonna finish it now because we need to find out if they fuck or if he kills her, or if they fucking. Maybe that'll be part 2. Her hypothalamus stimulates the release of GnRH, which tells the pituitary gland to wake up. Her reproductive system. What the hell? Okay. So we're coming inside of each other, I guess, Bryan. Shooting up the club, ain't it? God damn. Our olfactory systems consume each other with delight, signaling immune system compatibility. Mind you, the one thing she wanted is to shower, and she hasn't been able to do that. Just recalling this. This is his level of it's all what he wants is what he doesn't understand. He thinks he understands her, but he's really just thinking about how to make it about him. I move, which is fine, but be honest. I move both my hands to her jawline, holding her head firmly in place. Our mirror neurons speak to each other. I know what she wants. Meanwhile, it could be a sandwich or like hummus and a carrot. My lips press against hers and I softly bite her lower lip. Kate's blood vessels dilate from the acetylcholine and nitric oxide release, flushing her lips, skin, and body. The cascade is nearing waterfall. The executive control of our brains surrenders, no longer concerned with the 68 trillion cells. Yeah, that's what I am most of the time. The prefrontal cortex goes dark, eliminating future planning and probabilistic modeling. Activity in our parietal lobes diminishes, dissolving the boundary that distinguishes between self and other. No longer is there Kate and Bryan, just a singular biological entity suspended in a state of bliss. The outside world goes quiet. It doesn't exist. We dissolve into raw existence. So they definitely fucked. This is the most Kate and Bryan thing I've ever. All this is happening and you're like, okay, Kate and Bryan, just have sex on your own time. No one gives a fuck. Bryan Johnson, wife? Kate? Let's find out. Let's find out. Oh, interesting. Kate. Oh, okay. All right. Now we're doing a deep dive. We didn't expect this. Kate Tolo is a younger woman that Bryan Johnson met at work. This is not going to be. This is not going to be Aussie woman teams up with millionaire to live forever. Okay, so yeah, I guess he would have had kids with another woman, and now this is his younger woman, and now this is their dad writing sex poems to his younger woman online, which is actually just kind of normal to be like that. Like so many people have done that. I feel like that's just. It's not good, obviously, but, context is everything. I read this and I was kind of swept up in the world. I was kind of, all right, I understand what's going on. Okay, all right, shit, and then I'm like, oh, okay, it's just one of these. Yeah, he met her at his work, and she's a younger lady, and now she's fucking her boss, and they have sex and write bits about it, tweets about it, and stuff like that. Well, good for you. Good for you. let's just do one quick thing here, and then, okay, my shit's fucked up. Kate Tolo, age. Okay, she's 30. And Bryan Johnson, age, he is going to go ahead and be 48. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right for that missive, for that little block of text. That's actually what that entire thing was a guy trying to dazzle you with scientific language about how he's pumped to bang his young girlfriend. And hey, whatever gets you to pick up the pen, writing is good for you. Writing is good for you. Let's close out the show here with a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about. I went to Paris, folks, and I don't mean to flex, but I did. I went to Paris. I do be doing that. Not a big deal. Very beautiful place over there. They call it Paris. Why do they call it Perry? I used to know a guy named Perry. He was a horrible drug addict. Used to pull his cock out at pool halls. But Perry, much like Joe Biden, I don't know. Paris, it was very fun. But there was, I went through, I think I did a good job of this. My wife and I, we tried to immerse myself in the culture. Ate French food. I ate pigeon. Would I ever eat pigeon again? No. But am I glad I did? Yeah, now that it's out of my system. But a lot of the food was very good. We did the food. We did the drinking. We did drank a lot of wine, the croissant, the whole thing. Embraced the whole thing. Also, was trying to understand the history, listening to history podcasts, visiting Versailles, visiting the Musée d'Orsay, and understanding the interplay between all of the art and doing all of it. And I loved it. And it felt so good. And it felt like now it's not a hot take. Going to Paris is fun. I get it. There's a point to this, I promise. It felt good trying to engage in that higher level of let's stop and look at a painting. Let's understand historical context instead of what this show kind of is, which is pinging around what's happening as it's happening and taking it all in online and being what is this digital hell? And it's very cool. It's you start listening to French music and the little hotel had this cute, decor and all these books. And it's you get into all of it, but you got to be careful because if you take in too much culture, you will start to think you are cultured. And you might end up writing in a weird way, such as Bryan Johnson did there. You have to be careful of that. Now, there was one thing that really caught my eye. Went to the Palace of Versailles, and I went to the gift shop. Now, Marie Antoinette is a big deal out there. People love this bitch. They absolutely love this bitch out there, and I get it. In the small amount of French Revolution history that I was able to intake, Marie Antoinette, she's a hell of a figure. Okay, she comes from Austria. She's one of the Habsburgs. I'm not going to just do the whole thing. I'll probably get some things wrong. But she's a little different. She's a different kind of queen. She's not your average bitch. I'm not like the other queens, and people love her for that. She becomes kind of a celebrity, kind of a fashion icon. Maybe we're not going to put jewels in her hair. Maybe we'll put flowers in her hair. It's more down to earth. She's a cool girl. She's not like the other queens. She didn't want to live in the queen's quarters. She wanted to live in the Trianon, different quarters that in Versailles, what the king would do, previous kings, quite a setup. They had their quarters, and then there was a big hallway, and the queens had different quarters, and they could meet, or he could walk over to the queens, or what some of the kings would do, I believe Louis XV, is he would sometimes get halfway down the hallway and he would go, not today, and he would walk out to this lovely lake and he would get in a boat. There'd be a little boat waiting for him. The French, they know how to do things. It's nice over there, and row that little boat. Someone would row it for him, obviously, and they'd go through these beautiful gardens and they'd take a turn. How beautiful is this? On the grounds. And they would turn and they'd go into more gardens, and then there'd be this whole nother quarters that his mistress would live in. And he could just go bash that whore's brains out. Again, I'm trying to spice up the language to make the history understandable. I'm not trying to be misogynistic here, but he would turn right, he would walk down and say, instead of going to the queen today, I'm just going to go smash this slut in the gardens. But this was a French culture. Come on, why not? There was a reality to it. Sure, it's an indulgence. Sure, it's maybe not good. It's anti-Catholic. That's what Marie Antoinette didn't like. But the French were saying, this is what people do, so let's be honest about it. It really ties in with our theme of 2026. So they would do that. But Louis XVI, Marie Antoinette's husband, he was not really about that. He was like, no, I'm more. She was more into Catholicism. She didn't like the whole whore. She was like, you can't have a whore. And he was like, whatever, I'm fat anyway. I'll just fuck you every once in a while. So anyway, she wanted to live down there. So she lived down there, and then people in France started, I'm going to speed through this. People in France started being like, well, maybe she's a fucking whore. She's not even from here. She's being a whore. She's living in the whorehouse. And you know what? Fuck her. And as economic conditions degraded in the country, people get a little testy. You can see some of that happening here. You saw it happening in Venezuela. Shit gets a little testy, right? And so then, anyway, what ended up happening is they fucking killed her. They did. They killed her. So they built her up, and then they tore her down, and they fucking chopped her goddamn head off. Now, they chopped his head off. They chopped a lot of people's heads off. The guillotine, it's a whole thing. You've heard about it. But they chopped this fucking lady's head off. The people of France, they were like, fuck this bitch. And now you go out there and you go to where she used to live, and she's queen. Everyone's asking, is this where Marie Antoinette lives? Is this where she? No, she lives in the fucking whorehouse. She's not. Anyway, they're asking all this. Everyone wants to know only about her, and it's so much so that you go into the gift shop and they have high tops with her face on them. High tops with her. There's an entire brand. There is a brand. Yes, like Jocko Willink in the hoodie that was on Maduro. Okay, like Sean Puffy Combs, like Drake had. There is a Marie Antoinette brand. It's MA, and you could buy the shirt, you could buy the tote bag, you could buy you could buy the high top, and it was kind of a fly high top, and it's in the palace that they came in and they fucking kicked her out of, and they killed her husband, and they killed her, and they killed some of her goddamn kids, and they threw one of the kids in a fucking jail, and they would feed it in the dark, and it would shit on itself. They were very mean, and now they're buying a shoe with her face on it. And I just couldn't help but think, that's a great encapsulation of life in the public eye. I think that's kind of what fame is to some degree. It's like you get it, you might not have been asking for it, and then it's pretty fucking sick for a while, and people are paying attention, and you're culturally relevant, and you're kind of a vibe, and people are kind of a fan, and it's like, yeah, you got your gripes, and you got some backstabbers, but you're riding it for a while, and then eventually, if luck doesn't turn your way, everybody says, fuck you, and they want to take you down. And then if they fully succeed in taking you down, later on, people will be like, why were we so mean about that? She was a fine lady. We love her. Let's put a shoe of her in the house that we went and fucking took her ass out of. Fascinating walking through France. And one of the main themes I think it brings up is like kind of the, and I think it's relevant to everywhere, is kind of the tension between the heights of greatness and whether it's attainable for a large amount of people. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that you look at a lot of the art, a lot of the things you visit, a palace, okay, some of these fine arts, some of these showcasing the divine feminine or God as it should be, and there was this whole obsession with perfection and the heights of this, and this is where people think France gets its taste and its fashion, and everything's supposed to be good, and the cuisine supposed to be good, and the palace was the nicest. But then the common people were like, fuck that. That's not reality. Let's try a new art. Let's try art that is about how life really was. right? You saw a whole different level of painters come in, and they were like, yeah, fuck that divine shit. Let's show reality. Let's paint common people. People went into Versailles and they fucking ransacked it, and no one was in there. And it's this beautiful palace that sat empty until finally someone had the brilliant idea. Let's make it a museum and let's make it open to the people so all sorts of people can experience this. And it's just interesting because of the wealth disparity and the power concentration that it takes to make something truly grand and magnificent. But it's never available to everybody. And if it's not available to everybody, then it's not sustainable, because when you try to have these heights, when a bunch of people are facing these lows, you end up with violence because it will not stand. And it was interesting because as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about the modern era that we're in, where we have billionaires building space shuttles, trying to push things forward because they have the resources to try and they can do it all in their image. But most of us go, fuck that. We don't like that. And if conditions don't get good for a lot of people, then stuff can get hairy. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. But you gotta be careful. Because if you ignore the common man for too long, the common man will not be ignored. And that's kind of inspirational. It's kind of American. We are nothing if not a story of freedom. We are nothing if not a place that threw off the shackles of the monarchy, that said every man is created equal. And sure, the people who wrote that were not the best at practicing it, but god damn it if it's not a beautiful ideal to be felt and to be built upon it. And it fires me up to think about it, and it is the promise of this great nation. But then I was in the museum with a bunch of other common folk, and I was like, fuck people. Yucky. Ew. This place sucks ass now. Because it's filled with all these idiots taking selfies, being annoying, asking stupid questions, smelling like shit, coughing on me. I've been sick this whole episode. And I was like, I do think it was cool that I got to go to Versailles, but I wish I could have fucking owned the goddamn place and seen what it was really like. Let me hop in my boat and go fuck my whore, my good man. Row me down there. Row this good boat down there. So I believe in the realities of the common man, the promise in what's good for the people. But I think I'm a king in my heart. And that's okay, folks. And that's okay. I hope that you're all kings this year, whether that means more riches to you or whether it just means being in a healthy black relationship. King and queen, love you both. Hope you guys have enjoyed this show. I'm Joey Avery. This has been The Joey Show. First show of 2026. Wasn't sure if we were coming back. I mean, I wasn't going to leave you guys hanging, but I was like, I'm going to take some time off and see how I felt. And when I was gone I was like, I kind of missed I miss talking to the 12, baby. I miss talking to the 12. Some great food out there in France. Try the Mick Poulet. I got to be honest. The Mick Poulet. The Mick Chicken out there in France. God damn it. They make it incredibly well. The McChickens in America, they're made with disgust. They're made with disdain. I may have talked about it before. This is one of my big things. They make the McChicken in America. One person holds up the McChicken on one side of McDonald's. The other person throws mayonnaise at it from the other corner in a bad mood. In France, it was actually like a real chicken. Well constructed. Just something to try if you're out there. The Mick Poulet. You know, just because you're a common man doesn't mean you can't be treated like a king. Get out there, seize the day, seize the year. Have a great 2026. I'll see you next week. Good night. Thank God I have a podcast.